What's going on, guys? I'm Jaye the Black. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. I want to talk about the story. It's a sad story. A 34-year-old woman lost her life due to her deranged simp boyfriend who refused to let go and decided that he thought that it would be a better idea to take her life instead of walking away. Now, at first, they did not know where she was. She had disappeared. No one knew where she was. No one knew how to find her. And this was after she was seen partying with friends during the holidays and a boyfriend. And then she just turned up missing. The boyfriend was uncooperative. They actually arrested him anyway. But now they found her. So he's in a whole lot of trouble. And he's probably going to spend pretty much the rest of his life behind bars. Unless he gets a very agreeable sentence for taking this woman's life. This is a guy that could have walked away. This is a guy that could have said, you know what, there's plenty of other women out here I could be with. But he didn't have that mindset. Because this is the type of guy that doesn't get a lot of women. He was able to get one. And he wasn't going to let her go. Okay, we have to ask ourselves, who are the real incels? You know, people love to talk about how men online with their opinions are incels. But what about the men that get into these relationships and they refuse to let these women go? This woman shouldn't have lost her life. Now, the reason that I put it on both of them as to why they couldn't let this relationship go. She couldn't let him go. He couldn't let her go. And it ended up costing her her life. So why'd you give a guy like this so many chances? How come a guy like this who has a criminal record, this guy has a long criminal record. You know, he's the opposite of her. She's known as the good girl. And she chooses to get with the quote unquote bad boy, a guy who has been in and out of trouble for years. Even had a domestic incident with another woman, not her, but another woman. But she, for on and off for 5 years. Now, she's 4 years older than this jackass. She's 34, he's 30. And they were on and off for 5 years. You got to ask yourself the question, why did she give him so many chances? Why does a moron like this get so many chances? You know, there are people on this platform right now, they love to denigrate melanated men and talk about how bad melanated men are and how they harm melanated women. But I'm seeing story after story after story of these melanated women get into relationships with these Caucasian males, and the relationships get highly abusive, and these guys end up taking the life of these women. And I don't hear anything from them about it. I don't hear anything about them, you know, on that. When the Zach Stacy situation happened, oh my God, I'm seeing videos, live streams. Everybody has something to say. I have all these people sending me articles. You gonna speak on this? Are you gonna hold Zach Stacy accountable like you did Chad Wheeler? Yes, I am. Just like I'm going to hold this guy accountable, and I'm going to ask the question as to why she gave this guy so many opportunities. A guy who clearly was a bum working at a steakhouse. Okay, what qualities did he have for her to stay with him for so long? And I'm going to get to in the video as to why I believe he snapped and why I believe he ultimately took her life. So let's get into this article from lawandcrime.com. Deputies announced that citizens found the remains of missing woman Kathleen Moore, who's 34, on Tuesday. She was about 50 yards from the home of Collin Scott Knapp, who's 30, the person arrested for the allegedly taking her life. Knapp killed her after a night of arguing, and he refused to tell law enforcement her whereabouts because he was the one who is responsible. Pasco County Sheriff Chris Noko previously said investigators were able to possibly identify Moore based on her tattoos. The sheriff said in a press conference Tuesday, "I wish to God we could bring her back," he said. Moore was in a heavily brushed area covered on purpose, Noko said. Citing detectives, the sheriff said that it was hard to see her body even if you were 2 feet away from her, because she's not that big. Nako credited citizens with helping out and finding more and trying to explain why authorities overlooked more. The sheriff said the focal point of the investigation was elsewhere, including 14 dumpsters that could potentially have contained her body. The cause of death has yet to be determined. Sheriff's Sergeant Michael Rosa said. Moore mysteriously went missing last week after a night of hanging out with friends. Friend Nikki Wallin said Moore left Wallin's home in the city of Largo with Moore's on again, off again boyfriend at 11:30 p.m. on the night of Sunday, November 28th. According to WTSP, in a Thursday report, Kathleen says she would pick up her car the next morning. Wallin said, It's like her to leave her car at my house, she said, according to WFLA in a Saturday report, but it's not like her to miss work and school and not contact me. So this was somebody that was responsible, who worked and went to school, but she still was dating this felon, this loser, this Caucasian pookie. That's why I say, man, women, unfortunately, who have their stuff together are attracted to morons. They're attracted to losers, unfortunately. So it's not her having her car there for days. It's me not hearing from her that I know something isn't right. Something happened. That something was Knapp. According to authorities, he and Moore argued while socializing at some bars in Largo and Indian Rocks Beach and left in his Cadillac late Sunday, November 28th. Nako said in a press conference on Monday that the vehicle arrived at around 12:30 a.m. the following morning at a 7-Eleven at Carmel Avenue and 7 Springs Boulevard. He said Knapp claimed Moore was in his car when he got cigarettes, but surveillance footage is unclear. Nako said Knapp claimed they went to his home on Carmel Avenue, argued again, and Moore left with her backpack. So she left with no car, bro. You really think somebody was going to believe that? So she just left, didn't call her friends. She didn't have her car. There's no evidence she ever left, Nako said. That's because he had took her life, because he went into a rage. And I'm going to say this about the rage that I believe he went through. I believe that she probably told him that she wanted nothing to do with him. And I believe she called him out and probably clowned his manhood. I believe she probably clowned his manhood, and it drove him over the edge. Because when you have alcohol, and when a man who's probably very prideful, even though he works at a steakhouse, and there's nothing wrong working at a steakhouse. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but when you got this guy who does this, I'm gonna use that against him. But I believe she clowned him. She probably told him that he wasn't good enough, that she was tired of him, that he was basically bummy, or that she may have been talking to other guys, because males get angry when the woman that they can't let go is dealing with other men. This is why I tell y'all, who are the real incels? Men who have an abundance of women to choose from don't sit there and run behind one woman. This guy clearly had nothing else going on and was going to hold on to this female as long as he could. Because if he couldn't have her, nobody could have her. Because that's what it's looking like to me. Moore's phone was found in a dumpster behind a nearby Walgreens by a man who Nako said told authorities he was dumpster diving. Knapp initially cooperated in his search for Moore, but his first statement about her disappearance was inconsistent, making investigators suspicious. Sheriff Sergeant Michael Rosa said, in Knapp's alleged version of events, he went to his workplace at L0SES Steakhouse in Newport Richey for meat inventory at 1:30 a.m. shortly after Moore left his home, but the sheriff said that authorities checked the restaurant's dumpster and found Knapp's bloodied clothes. This and other evidence made authorities believe Moore was deceased. Knapp had a head start on investigators. Rosa said he refused to reveal the whereabouts of the victim's body. The sheriff said authorities responded by releasing pictures of his vehicles Monday night in an attempt to find his whereabouts in the early portion of Moore's disappearance. I guess these are his vehicles. Listen, man, I hope he spends every bit of the rest of his miserable life behind bars. I think this is a lesson to all you males that run behind women that don't want you. Just let it go. You know, and the same could be said for her. This guy clearly had nothing going on. This guy clearly was a loser, and she dated him anyway. Now he's a loser with he kept his Cadillac up. It's a 2006 Cadillac, so he did well at keeping the Cadillac up. But when I mean loser, I mean this is a guy who clearly has nothing else going on besides working his job, but nothing other than that. You know, this guy could have easily gone off and met another woman. He probably did, because a lot of these guys will sleep with other women while they're trying to hold on to another one. That just never made any sense to me. Why are you still trying to hold on to a woman that may not even want to be with you? You look like you have no value in yourself. And this guy clearly did not value himself. He valued her more than himself. And that's why he ended up taking her life, because he valued her more than he valued himself. And what I'm seeing with a lot of these modern women, they have their stuff together. They have a future that they want to push towards, and they date these guys who do nothing but drag them down. She was in an on and off again relationship with him for 5 years. That lets me know that she had a bit of low self-esteem. She had low self-esteem to the point to where she was willing to deal with the guy who I am very sure that they argued a lot throughout the relationship, and it might have turned physical, but I bet she never went to the police. I have a hard time believing he didn't get physical with her. I have a hard time believing that, because I believe she was so prideful, she never told anybody and she never called the police. Because a male like this, who's clearly desperate to hang on to her, he's just not going to just flip out and take her life one day without there being signs and red flags that this could be the possible end game. But because, once again, she did not want people to know that, because she wanted people to believe that her relationship was good. Even though they were on and off again, I bet she never spoke negatively about him. And it ended up costing her in the long run. A lot of these women need to be careful of the type of men they give their energy to, because that type of man will do nothing but drag them down and destroy them. So let me think in the comment section below, and let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like this video and share it.